Hi everybody, this is Doedicurus from Prehistoric Facts. This is a special episode, and this is a new year, and basically, we're in 2016, so let's actually get the new year started. 2016 started with Prehistoric Facts going stronger than ever. We're basically starting off with this special episode. In this episode, we're actually going to talk about a prehistoric mammal, basically. Basically a relative of the armadillo, basically, and that would be Doedicurus. Now, Doedicurus in Greek or Latin means pestle tail. Fossils have been found in South America. Lived in the Pleistocene to modern time, basically 2 million years to 10,000 years ago. Size around 23 feet long and probably weighed 1 ton. And of course, it's a herbivore. And the characteristics of Doedicurus is that it's a relative of the armadillo. And reasons why it's just good because it's got an armored bony shell, basically covering most of its body. And basically kind of like armadillos, basically. But the modern armadillo is basically pretty much the 9-banded armadillos, basically. It's just because it's a little bit different. It's got a little more flexible armor, so that would actually be a little bit more of a difference from Doedicurus and the modern armadillo. And of course, Doedicurus is nearly the size of an actual car, so kind of almost the size of a Volkswagen. So you're actually looking at a giant armadillo. And since it was around South America, it pretty much ate like grasses and probably some low-lying shrubs. And also another thing about Doedicurus is that it actually has a spiky club on the end of its tail, which is kind of odd for a mammal. As you see, we don't see mammals today that actually have that feature, and that's really kind of interesting if you actually kind of look at it. And you see, it's kind of almost like an ankylosaur, basically, where it has like this like mass at the end of its tail to actually help defend itself. But even though, since that Doedicurus is so well armored, not a lot of predators could actually go after it. So that's pretty much a standard for that. This is pretty much one of the most well armored mammals that have ever existed. And so, kind of like ankylosaurs, is basically they were very low to the ground, very slow, and they don't really need to be fast. And also, they're not really particularly that intelligent. They're not particularly very intelligent animals, but they're mammals, so basically we can give them a little bit of beneficiary of the doubt, so they're a little bit smarter than ankylosaurs. And so, but unlike modern armadillos, Doedicurus did not burrow. It's too big to burrow, and it's too wide to actually burrow. And that's one reason why it couldn't actually burrow. And also, it doesn't have very large claws. It doesn't have very large claws for digging. They could probably dig up some things, but basically roots, that would probably be it, because they're herbivores. Because armadillos today, they're kind of insectivorous and herbivorous. So they'll eat pretty much like some grasses, even worms and insects, because their diet is pretty much going to be a little bit different from a Doedicurus. And considering that some of the predators that were around during its time was basically the saber-toothed cats and terror birds. So pretty much those kinds of animals wouldn't even dare come close to a Doedicurus, because if they try to attack one, there's basically not much they can do. There's not much they can do to actually try to kill it, unless if you're big enough and strong enough to actually flip it on its back and pretty much actually attack its underbelly, where pretty much that's the weakest spot of the animal. But there was no predator around that could actually do that, so that was actually a really good thing for Doedicurus. So pretty much they actually lived pretty long lives, I would think. They probably because since they're herbivores, they live longer than predators. So I would suspect they probably lived maybe twice as long than the predators. And so, being that, considering with the spiky mass on the end of its tail, it was the size of a cannonball basically. So it's pretty big, and wouldn't be surprising it would be almost as heavy. But cannonballs are made of metal, so pretty much this thing is made of bone and fat. That would be pretty much bone and marrow, sometimes blood. So that's pretty much what it actually weighs. So it would be a little bit lighter than a cannonball. And so, if a predator comes too close to that, it's going to get a nasty surprise, and it's going to be dead instantly. So Doedicurus couldn't actually swing that thing. Pretty good speeds to knock the predator off its feet and pretty much kill it. So it could kill a saber-toothed cat with one blow, and pretty much wouldn't take that much to kill a terror bird, though, either. If it aimed at the legs, the terror bird wouldn't actually be able to walk. So that would be one thing to actually think about, is that it could actually defend any predator it actually came across with. And of course, the extinction is that some of the North American mammals actually started to come in here, and also the environment incredibly quickly changed for Doedicurus, and that's basically just because there was a lot more open prairies. There was not that much of the grasses that it usually eats, or even the lowland shrubs it usually eats. So the plants totally changed. So it pretty much starved to death. And I don't think humans actually really wanted to take down this thing, because it would actually be really hard to try to kill one of them. So I would suspect that they probably left it alone most of the time. If humans ever got to South America around 10,000 years ago, I mean, I could suspect that. Maybe they could, but there's not that much evidence to actually prove that humans were actually hunting down Doedicurus. So it's pretty much environmental changes that actually pretty much was the extinction of Doedicurus. Alright, this Saturday will actually be an Answering Questions episode, so if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or otherwise you can go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. But remember, keep your questions short and to the point. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you. And for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys this Saturday. And let's make this 2016 a great year.